Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. Of course, you can follow me on Twitter and Vero at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Sunday's edition on the DCEU Daily. Entertainment media is dead. They just say the stuff the studios want them to say. These bloggers and these journalists and these critics. Oh, No Way Home. Oh, No Way Home. Yes. I'm such a shill. I'm such a fan as well as being a journalist. But I haven't got an unbiased nature about me. And I'm just going. And this is how they become big deals, right? People like these bloggers, right, who were once fans and now they get blue ticks. There's no one actually being a journalist in entertainment journalism anymore. So it looks like it's up to people like me to ask the big questions when it comes to the DC Extended Universe and a lot of other things. If you follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, you know I ask these questions and I make some very valid points. This is a job of a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm a very, down the pecking order actor, director, writer. I'm not an elite by any shape or form, but that is what I do. But I'm passionate about entertainment and I'm passionate about the DC Extended Universe. So on today's DCEU Daily, I'm going to ask the question, a question nobody else is asking. You've all gone to sleep on this. Whatever happened to Patty Jenkins' Amazonian movie? Where is it? It hasn't been officially cancelled. Where is it? Jesus Christ, you've got a long line of Patty Jenkins projects either not happening, being ignored, maybe happening in terms of Wonder Woman 3, and the two movies she was sacked from. Yes, we're continuing the subject we were talking about yesterday, and that's Patty Jenkins, because I'm kind of triggered by this and kind of annoyed by this whole situation. I've been annoyed since Wonder Woman 84. So we're going to read a quote from Connie Nielsen very, very shortly. Now she says she's looking forward to working with Linda Carter, but I'm going to expose this quote. Not Connie Nielsen. I love Connie. She's a great performer. I love her as Queen Hippolyta. I think she's so badass and brilliant. Then we will talk about the Batman and how the Batman Joker rumours are a distraction from something else, and I'm surprised so many of you believe these rumours, but it's interesting. We'll get into that. And finally today, we will talk about how Zack Snyder saved Aquaman. So let's begin. So this is a very interesting headline from a Screen Rant article we're not going to read in full. We're just going to read Connie's quote, but first I'm going to tell you the clickbait headline Screen Rant have got. Wonder Woman 3 star excited to finally work with Linda Carter. Wonder Woman 3 star, there's no doubts over this film. There are. For me, they are. Again, I'm doing something that journalism should be doing. Nobody. Find me a journalist who's asking these questions. How many of them are talking about the fact that Patty Jenkins has been sacked from 2 movies in 1 month? Where are they? This is journalism. This is not just entertainment journalism. This is what's happening in the real world, right? We're being pushed an agenda, and it's happening in entertainment media especially. So let's go to the quotes of Connie Nielsen, who I absolutely adore and love, by the way. Let's be clear about that. Here we are. I have not met Linda yet. I mean, I've met her briefly at the premiere, but I've not worked with her yet, so I don't know what that's like. We were on different sets, so I don't know. But I look forward to having that experience for sure. So this is interesting, right? This is basically going along the lines of Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 and how Linda Carter's going to be in it. Because let's be absolutely clear here. If Patty Jenkins doesn't co-write and direct Wonder Woman 3, which is the plan right now, as far as we know, I have my doubts about this, I've always had my doubts about this, but if Patty's not involved in this movie and she just gets a producer credit like the other 2 movies she's been removed from, then Linda Carter is got nothing to do with this movie, unless they give her a little cameo. I've said from the beginning in Wonder Woman 84 she should have cameoed as a version of her Wonder Woman as we're going into the multiverse. Look what Feige's doing. He literally brought in Venom, right, in the MCU now. You've seen that post-credit scene in Venom, Let There Be Carnage, right? Say what you want about the man, but he has set up a great, exciting universe. Yes, it's not my favourite thing either, and I think it's destroying the movie industry. I do. I have those opinions, but she should have been the Wonder Woman from her series. But instead, Patty Jenkins did this. You don't allow Patty Jenkins to make those decisions. This should be a Walter Hamada decision. And this is the problem. We're so obsessed, right, these days about the conversations about creative freedom and auteur directors. But some decisions must be down to the president of DC Films or the president of Marvel Studios. The president of Marvel Studios doesn't let one director make a decision that's going to interfere with his plans for the universe. And this is the problem. You know, Walter Hamada allowed Margot Robbie and Kathy Yan to make big decisions about Birds of Prey, decisions they had no right to make. Same thing with Patty Jenkins. He wasn't happy about the mouse scene in Wonder Woman 84, as she's told us, but he let her make the final decision. No, I am the president of DC fucking Films. Your mouse sequence is fucking shit, Patty, and we're cutting it. And if you walk, love, you walk. At the end of the day, I've seen your film, we're not going to be missing much anyway. So you're either the president of DC Films, or you're not the president of DC Films. And so I find this very fascinating about this quote from Connie, because there's not much here. It's not yet. Wonder Woman 3 is definitely happening with Patty, and I can't wait to meet her. But I look forward to having that experience for sure, because Connie Nielsen isn't going to tell you what's happening or what's not. But Connie's a very interesting lady, and she's quite an honest lady in my experience. And a few months ago, maybe about 12 months ago, she was talking about the potential of an Amazonian movie and the great plans that Patty had. Where is the Amazonian movie? Because during the marketing of Wonder Woman 84, Patty promised us an Amazonian movie that wasn't going to go on streaming, but that was going to be released in theatres. Either before Wonder Woman 3, I assume the original plan was pre-Wonder Woman 3, and then I think she slipped in that it might be after Wonder Woman 3. But she's not talking about it. What happened to the Amazonian movie? Something I'd be very excited to see. To see young Lily Aspel in there, if that was the plan. Maybe it will be an older version of Diana. Maybe it's meant to be after Wonder Woman 3 when Diana is the queen of the Amazonians. Maybe, but no one's talking about it anymore. And that's interesting, because why bring it up in the first place? It's interesting, isn't it? And it's something that she brought up. The studio has never said this is happening, it's set for this date. Something else that Feige makes sure the audience know. Things are not just teased, they're given dates, or it's coming soon, it's going to happen. Feige is very transparent with his consumer and his audience. And DC Films and the president of DC Films can't even get himself a Twitter account, an Instagram account, no. He's up in his high office and he talks to no one. And all the best people have social media accounts, whether you like it or not, because he's hiding ever since the revelations from Ray Fisher. Unfair revelations as far as I'm concerned, but still, he's been hiding. They're all hiding. They have gotten, as I said the other day, they have got no interaction with the audience via social media. This hurts the DC Extended Universe. This is a bad thing. Now, our DC directors are brilliant people. You can find James Wan on Instagram. You can find James Gunn on Twitter and on Instagram. Matt Reeves is on Twitter. He's even done Q&As before in the past 2 years. So David F. Sandberg's very good with the fans as well. There's not one director where I could say, oh, yeah, you know, that one's, you know, doesn't communicate with the fans. Even someone, an auteur like Matt Reeves, is talking to us and communicating to us as much as possible. But the people upstairs, there's no one there. And it's just not good. It's not good marketing. It's not good PR. It doesn't work. And when you ask this question, no one wants to talk about it, no one wants to answer it, but where is the Amazonian movie? Is it happening? Isn't it happening? Are her plans happening? For me, secretly, behind the scenes, after Wonder Woman 84, I think Warner Brothers absolutely shit themselves. I think they made some half-decent money off the movie on HBO Max. Obviously, the box office was shit, but let's not put our agendas in front of the truth here. You know, the pandemic was at its peak. That's why Warner Brothers were right to put it on HBO Max. That's the one movie that they were right. They should have released June as a proper theatrical release without HBO Max. That was about the money and upscaling HBO Max. There's no question about that. June should have been a proper theatrical release. There was no need at that point to do day and date. But Wonder Woman 84 had to be day and date. Patty didn't like it, but that's the truth. And Warner Media gave her and Gal the money they would have got via a theatrical release. This is the mistake that Bob Chapek made with the Black Widow movie. And it's shocking, really, to see how Disney, treat their talent, opposed to how Warner Brothers treat their talent. Now, the treatment of Zack Snyder isn't great, but, mostly, they understood doing day and date would be very controversial, and they wanted to cross all the I's and all the T's, and they did that. So Wonder Woman 84 being released then meant a shit box office in the theatres. Nothing really to do with anything to do with the movie. I don't think it, but as I've said before, Wonder Woman 84 was protected by the pandemic. I think this is partly the reason they released it when they did. Look, Warner Brothers knew they had a bomb on their hands, and if there was no pandemic, that film would have bombed. I think we would be looking from around 300 million to 500 million. I genuinely think that, and they would have blagged that as a good result. So I think once Warner Brothers saw a Wonder Woman 84, I think they shit themselves, and they probably made the decision there and then that they can't work with this woman anymore, because clearly there was some disagreements. So I think evidentially you can look at the reaction of giving Patty Wonder Woman 3 straight away as something to calm everything down just till they make another decision. And I think this is what they did. They didn't want any kind of question over Patty Jenkins. Because if you kind of give the woman another film while the film's in movie theatres, it should give you consumer confidence. As I've said before, there's not much consumer confidence in the DC Extended Universe anyway. Let's see if next year's 6 movies actually change that. So this is why they greenlit Wonder Woman 3. They didn't want any controversy over that movie. They wanted it to go well. They knew the box office in movie theatres wouldn't be great, but they knew they'd make loads of money via HBO Max. It was a brand new movie last year. This time last year was such a bad time for Hollywood, with the pandemic being at its peak, everything being, postponed and cancelled. They needed an event. So it was interesting how, again, Access Media colluded with the studio to say this is the right movie at the right time. And at first, the Rotten Tomato scores were very strong. I don't even think it's verified fresh anymore. It's very interesting the way Rotten Tomatoes works, where sometimes you can get really good initial reactions and reviews, but then they go down when no one's really taking any notice. It's very clever if you think about it from a marketing perspective. If you actually read a lot of top critic reviews, you'll see a lot of top critics don't actually like Wonder Woman 84. And even the positive ones, if you read between the lines, because it's very clever, you can actually do a review that just about gets the film a verified fresh, or gives it, it's a fresh review rather than a rotten review. You can not like it, but you can say certain things that it did, which is what because it basically they know how the tomato meter works. So it's very clever. So critically, it's not the most panned movie, but they didn't like it. Just go and read the reviews, even the positive ones. When you hear something like the right movie at the right time, that's kind of a typical thing where you can read between the lines. That doesn't even say anything about it being a good movie. It just says the right movie at the right time. Basically, it's meant to be a positive movie with a positive message, right? Even though they turned Maxwell Lord into Donald Trump. This is where we are today, right? I don't know what to say to you. I can't stand Donald Trump. The last thing I want is an iconic villain like Maxwell Lord being paralleled into Donald fucking Trump. But this is what the extreme left in Hollywood are doing now. They're just as bad as Trump. They're all as bad as each other, and I can't stand them. Wonder Woman deserves to be on the best stage possible. Zack Snyder gave us the best actress he could as Wonder Woman. She's terrific. She looks like Wonder Woman. She acts like Wonder Woman. She's brilliant. She's pure. She's great. I love her. I absolutely love Gal as Wonder Woman. That's not the issue here. The issue is that we had a great first movie, as I said yesterday, and now we don't even know what's happened to this Amazonian movie that Patty was supposed to be making. I tell you this, that Patty Jenkins will not make Wonder Woman 3, even at this late stage, even though she's still saying she is, and her actors are still saying she is. Because if she does, we are looking at one of the biggest bombs in the DCU, in the DC Extended Universe's history. So she can't make this movie. And that's my final word on the subject for today. A few weeks ago, there was a huge rumour that Barry from the Eternals, because I can't, what is his last name anyway, it doesn't matter. Barry, who played a character from the Eternals, right? I'm shit with names. Was rumoured to be the Joker in Matt Reeves' The Batman movie. And his brother seemed to have confirmed this. I think the guy's fucking joking, or Matt Reeves told him to do it. I don't know. I think this whole thing is a distraction from the truth. The truth I've given you many, many times, but we won't go there quite yet. Because, you know, I think it's, look, you got bloggers, right, like Daniel RPK saying things like, oh, if it is Daniel RPK, I'm not sure, but there's lots of bloggers now saying there's two versions of the Batman, one with the Joker starring Barry in it, or playing the Joker, Barry playing the Joker, and one without. How convenient for all these liars, YouTubers and bloggers. So basically, if we don't see Joker in the movie, they can say, well, there was two versions, one with and one without. Oh, please stop it. Stop it. You know full well that Barry isn't playing the Joker. You know damn well that Joaquin Phoenix is playing the Joker. It's a distraction. I haven't seen one report about Joaquin possibly playing the Joker in this movie. No one's talking about it because it's supposed to be a big surprise, everyone. This is the kind of thing that can land me with egg on my face, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think Barry's in the movie. I don't think Barry's playing the Joker. That's just my opinion. Again, I could be very wrong. I just don't feel this is what's going to happen. We've got to be very, very careful here, as Matt Reeves has and Warner Brothers have. You know, in Jared Leto, we had a really great actor, but, you know, playing the Joker. But I don't hate his Joker, but I also don't love Jared's Joker. I don't think it's one of the great Jokers. You know, I think the Joker from the Gotham TV series is way above Jared Leto's version, and that may get me some thumbs down and some hates. I'm just being honest. I think, again, when you say to an actor, do what you want with a role, it's problematic. Your creative needs to be in charge. Yes, we know that the Joker from The Dark Knight was a mixed creation from the director and Heath Ledger himself. We know that. They sat down and worked together on it. But you can never let an actor do whatever the fuck he or she wants, right? You can't do that. There's got to be someone drawing a line there and saying, no, there was no line with Jared Leto's performance as the Joker. That's why most of it wasn't even fit to put in a movie. We've even had an editor from the film say that. So it would be interesting to see the rest of this performance to see if that's true. The truth is, as much as I love Jared Leto, and I do love Jared Leto, And as I say, his Joker's all right, and I think it was a very interesting performance and kind of a version of the Joker in the Snyder Cut. That was more of kind of Zack and Jared working together on that, and that's why it's, in my opinion, a lot better than the few sequences we saw in the Suicide Squad movie. Not from David Ayer, but it's got his name on it, right? But you know, we've got to be careful with the Joker, because the Joker is an iconic character, because we've had so many great versions. And it's interesting because Jared Leto's version isn't a celebrated version. If you think about it, you know, Cesar Romero's version in the 60s Batman series is a celebrated version. Jack Nicholson's version is a celebrated version. Heath Ledger's version is a celebrated version. The guy on Gotham, he's a celebrated version. The people who stand that series love that version of the Joker. He's great, right? And the Jared Leto one, you know, has split people. I don't think he's even split people. There's a lot of people say, well, it's just not my cup of tea. Leto is a really good actor, there's no question. But he just, you know, I don't relate to it. Joaquin Phoenix's version is not just a celebrated version of the Doctor. The Doctor? You see, I'm thinking about the next video already, the Doctor Who Daily. Please excuse me. Yeah. But, yeah, so Joaquin Phoenix's version is not only a celebrated version of the Joker, but he's relatable, because his and Todd Phillips' version of the Joker is a Joker that you or me could become, right? He's an ordinary guy. He suffers with mental illness. He's a carer for his mother. And if you went through the circumstances and suffered from mental illness that he does, it could happen to you or me easily. It's a bit like Michael Douglas starring in Falling Down. Ordinary bloke gets crushed by life, and he just goes absolute nuts. But what you notice in Falling Down is a lot of the stuff he's saying, disturbingly enough, is fucking true. Could happen to you or me, right? Because we live in this window, we live in this matrix, if you like, of the real world, and we're governed and we're told to do this and not do this, especially these days with what's going on. It's very difficult. So it's very easy to be broken down by life and the way the world is run. And I think you know what I'm talking about. Now, and that is Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. He's literally Michael Douglas in Falling Down or Taxi Driver. These were kind of the motivations from Todd Phillips when he did the movie. I do believe that Joaquin Phoenix's version of the Joker, we know there's a sequel coming for Joaquin, and Todd Phillips is certainly writing it, but no confirmation of him directing it at this point. I do believe that that's the version of the Joker we are going to get in the Batman, and of course it would be huge. Again, that's what I think. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen, but it's a hunch I've got in my gut. Or just, did I have too much to eat for breakfast? It's one of those things, right? But I've been very consistent about this. So it was at first very surprising that these rumours came out about Barry being Matt Reeves' the Joker. Now, Barry's a very, very solid actor. I'm sure he would do a really good job as the Joker. And I'm not dismissing the potential of that, or it's a possibility. I just don't believe it. Does Matt Reeves strike you as a kind of director who would allow this kind of thing to come out? Because in terms of marketing and getting people interested in the film, this doesn't really do anything. I mean, Barry was great in The Eternals, but he's not that up there. You know, we're not talking about Timothée Chalamet or something, right? If he was announced as a DC character, which I believe he will be sooner rather than later. I thought it's hilarious that Tom Holland's trying to get him over to the MCU. Tom, you got no chance, mate. He's Warner Brothers property now, anyway. And he's going to be tapped with June for years. Not June. Anyway. So I do believe that Joaquin's version of the Joker is going to be in the Batman. For me, this would be the kind of thing that Kevin Feige would do. This is the kind of thing you do. It makes sense. We got a new Earth. We got a new Batman. Joaquin is perfect. They're doing a sequel. Make it all connect. Make it all make sense, of course. But in terms of marketing and PR, this will be the best thing ever. So I think the reason the rumours have come out about Barry being Matt Reeves' Joker in the Batman are a classic distraction. Because sooner or later, people are going to start putting 2 and 2 together, getting 4 and realising that Joaquin Phoenix's Joker will be in Matt Reeves' The Batman. Aquaman has been around for many years, I think since the 50s or 60s. He's a very interesting character, and we know where he's from. He's from Atlantis, but originally he had blonde hair and blue eyes. I think it was very ballsy of Zack Snyder to cast someone like Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa came in to audition as Batman, and Snyder was like, well, thank you very much, but I've actually got a better idea for you. Clearly, Zack had no intention of ever casting Jason as Bruce Wayne and Batman. And actually, let's talk about this briefly. I actually would have liked to, if I was in that position of Zack Snyder, I probably would have cast Jason as Bruce Wayne. Why? Well, because I think Jason's a very interesting man. He's led a very interesting life. You know, he's part of a culture we don't really know much about. I don't even know the name of the culture, but how many people from Jason's culture are being represented and included in Hollywood? He's really the only one. If there's anyone else, you know, correct me, but there's not many of them. There's no question about that. So we'll talk about Jason's casting very shortly. So, you know, give Jason a haircut and a shave. He could be a great Batman and Bruce Wayne. You look into his eyes and there's something interesting going on with Jason. There's something pure, but there's something else also going on with Jason. So actually, I would have cast him as Bruce Wayne and Batman, and I think that would have been interesting. But Zack Snyder casting him as Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman, is one of the most fascinating castings ever. And you think about it, it can't go wrong. You know, yes, he doesn't look like the Aquaman we grew up reading or from the animated series that there was, you know, and there's been Aquaman animated movies as well. He's not that version. That's why I think it's kind of perfect if you kind of say now that the Snyderverse is a parallel universe. Kind of makes sense, right? But anyway, so you can have the blonde hair, blue-eyed Aquaman, but you can have this Aquaman. He's a great Aquaman. When I think of Aquaman now, I think of Jason Momoa. It's brilliant casting, because it's representational, it's got inclusivity in, it ticks all the boxes, but he's cast for all the right reasons as well, creatively. He's talented, he looks fucking great, he can be intimidating, friendly, funny. You know, Jason Momoa's got everything. One of the tragedies with Jason Momoa isn't with Jason himself, but it's the way Hollywood treat him. They never let him act. They always get him to play himself because they don't actually think he can act. Now, I will correct you on that if you think that, because I absolutely believe he can act, because I saw him in Game of Thrones. That wasn't Jason Momoa. He was actually playing a role, talking another language. It worked, the whole relationship with Khaleesi. That was acting. You know, absolutely fantastic. And, you know, M. Clark, who is an absolute riot, by the way, but I love her, and, you know, what a great mirror she would have been as well. Watch this space, that could still happen. Anything can happen. Although Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom has been filmed, but there's still potential if Amber Heard is exposed that they would bring her in to do reshoots. It wouldn't be that difficult, by the way. So again, watch this space for that. Anything's possible in Hollywood, like someone like Joss Whedon rewriting and reshooting a Justice League movie. Yeah, didn't think that was going to happen, did we? So Jason Momoa is perfect casting, but I love the fact that because, you know, Zack Snyder, if he wanted to be inclusive, could have cast, you know, a black man as Aquaman. Something I wouldn't have been opposed to, by the way, but, you know, people of colour, black people, are the most represented minority in most industries around the world, and I think it's important that we, you know, it's important to represent and include black people. Of course it is, and I have no issue with that. I'm excited with the 2 versions of Black Superman we're getting. It's great. But also, I think people from Jason Momoa's background need to be included in this conversation as well. And who did it? Mr. Zack Snyder. But he didn't just want to tick a box. he cast the right person, right? Instead of doing, this is so Zack, is, you know, I mean, literally, I mean, when I think about the kind of people he was auditioning for Superman before he saw Henry, I mean, that's nuts. I mean, he wanted to give the Deathstroke guy the Superman gig, and if it wasn't for True Blood, he would have got the role. I mean, he doesn't look like Superman one little bit, but it would have been interesting. I think he's a great actor. I would have enjoyed it. I definitely would have enjoyed it, but at first I would have been, oh no, he looks nothing like fucking Superman. But I think I would have loved it when I saw it on film. So it's typical Snyder to shave against the grain, and at first people were like, oh my God, because before the casting, when Zack announced that he was bringing Aquaman to the DC Extended Universe, I remember there was some podcast laughing at the idea of Aquaman being in a movie and taken seriously, because Aquaman is literally the joke of DC Comics, always has been. Zack rang them up and said, I think they were live on air, and he rang them up, he goes, no, listen, I understand. He goes, but we're going to do something awesome. You wait, you just wait. And Zack was proven right. He and James Wan brought him in the first Aquaman in a beautiful way. Absolutely. And in, you know, Justice League, he's absolutely fantastic. Actually, I like him in both movies. Actually, I think he gets a little bit more screen time. I'm probably going to get myself shot for this. I think Jason gets a little bit more screen time in Justice League. Why am I wrong about that? But I prefer him in the Snyder Cut. There's no question about that. He's great. Him and Ezra Miller together are absolutely fabulous. But he's a perfect Aquaman. They're the situations where you can take something that's always been kind of, you know, kind of a white, clean-cut, blonde hair, blue-eyed kind of character. You can change it. Who's saying now? Think about this. Who's saying now, oh my God, you know, he should be a blonde hair and blue-eyed Aquaman? What person out there is still saying that? No. I'm sure there's someone, and there's a few percentage of people out there, but most people are saying Jason Momoa is the perfect Aquaman and perfect Arthur Curry. Why? Because the way to be inclusive and representational is by casting talent. And if you do it that way, you are not going to have the war between the entertainment industry and the consumer. This has been the DCEU Daily. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss this perfection. And I'll see you again tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. Until then, goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen.